First story is titled, Am I the a-hole for locking myself in the bathroom and having a very long bath, causing my husband to have to entertain his own guests? Hello. Well, I was not expecting to have to ever post here myself. What a complete 180 that is. I will keep this as short as I can. My fingers are still very wrinkly. Worth it. And it feels very strange typing. My husband often invites his work colleagues for dinner and drinks to our home. I do not mind this, but he always expects me, as his wife, to cook, clean, serve drinks, and entertain his guests as he mingles around. I have never attended one of these evenings as a guest. I'm always the one in the background and keeping everything afloat. After one of his last social evenings, I told him flatly that I would not be entertaining his guests anymore. I will not be a bar or a cleaner. I told him that he doesn't understand how much work goes into an evening like that to make it as successful as they have been. Well, he practically laughed and waved me off, and said he can handle these things himself anyway. And so this evening came around. He made sure I knew about it more than usual. I believe he remembered our last conversation about the topic and assumed I wasn't serious. Well, once his colleagues started arriving, I took my phone, laptop, a bottle of champagne and camped out in the upstairs bathroom, having an absolutely wonderful bubble bath. He came up at least 6 times throughout the evening, asking when I'm getting out, that he doesn't know how to keep everyone entertained, that he has too many drinks and meals to make. All I said was that he should have done some prep work like I always do, and I reminded him how he said what I do is easy anyway, so he shouldn't be struggling. The evening ended, and he has an absolute go at me, telling me how disrespectful I was towards him and his colleagues by leaving him alone in all this. I remained quiet and only reminded him what he told me about how easy it all is anyway. He called me a string of very colorful words and went to sleep in the other bedroom. Am I the a-hole for holding my husband to his beliefs about how easy hosting an event like this is and letting him do it himself? Now for the top comments. Not an a-hole. That's hilarious. Good for you. And it sounds to me like he's mad because not only was he wrong, but because he just assumed you'd ask how high when told to jump. Yes, I definitely surprised him today. People always say to keep things new and exciting in a marriage. Haha, love that sass. Keep being awesome. No matter what anyone says, you are not an a-hole and you did it with style. Oh, bless your heart. Thank you. Not an a-hole? Good for you. Once he gets over being mad, hopefully he recognizes what a jerk he was being. Oh yes, I hope so too. Thank you. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for not doing my husband's laundry? Background. He, 26 male, works full-time, about 50 hours per week average. I'm 25 female, a stay-at-home parent, also work part-time and I'm in part-time school, 10 credit hours. He tends to keep a large pile of dirty/clean clothes on the floor on the side of the bed that he pulls from to get ready. I've also established a dirty clothes basket in the closet and he knows about it. This morning, he's getting ready for work and is pissed because he can't find any clean work clothes. Me, I caught up on the laundry over the weekend. Him, I have all these dirty clothes on the floor. Me, oh, just put them in the dirty clothes basket that's in the closet. Him, what's the difference between getting my clothes from the closet and getting them from the floor? Me, because everyone's dirty clothes goes in the basket, and it's not my job to clean up your dirty clothes off your floor. It turned into a mild argument. I told him he's entitled to think I'm going to pick his stuff up off the floor. He told me because he's never here. He works 7 to 5-ish Monday to Friday, so this is not true. I have a better opportunity to pick up his stuff and wash it. I feel bad that he doesn't have any clean clothes, but also I'm not the maid. Edit. I feel like I'm an a-hole because I called him entitled. Also, it's really not hard for me to pick up his clothes from the floor. It doesn't take much extra time to do it. However, it's the principle. If he left dirty dishes in the living room instead of the kitchen sink, I would be just as pissed. Edit 2. We have 2 kids, 5 and 1.5. 5-year-old is virtual learning. Also to clarify, this became an issue when he said I should be able to pick up his clothes for him off the floor. So, am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. I work full-time, and I also manage to do my own laundry. I can accomplish this amazing feat as well. She's only asking him to put his dirty clothes in the basket, not leave them on the floor. He's an idiot if he thinks this is the hill to die on. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole? I do the same thing to my husband. If it's not in the basket, then I'm not washing them. I can think of a few reasons it might be better to have a put the clothes in the basket rule. I have a hearing device, and occasionally I will put it in a small container in my pants. If I go for a run and have done this, then I will take my pants off, hop in the shower, and then deal with the device and pants. It would suck if the device got tossed into the washer. Not saying it couldn't happen if it's in the dirty basket, but I think it's less likely. Of course, my long scenario aside, it does boil down to being respectful to one's spouse. Not an a-hole. You're not a servant. His time isn't more valuable than yours. You're his wife and partner. If he can't put dirty clothes where they go, he can do his own damn laundry. And entitled is probably the nicest word you could have used. I'd have chosen a much meaner one. The next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not trying harder to tell my husband I was in labor? My husband, who I do love and does love me, is a distant and private person to everyone. His mom was having health problems, and I didn't know until weeks later when I spoke to her. I asked him how she was doing later, and he said didn't know. That's just how he deals with things. He doesn't want to get too personal with anyone. We share hobbies and can have good conversations as long as they're not too personal. It can be off-putting, but I do genuinely enjoy his company. Jump to this last week. I am pregnant and went into labor. It was only a few days before my due date, so nothing concerning. I tried to call his work, but his phone went right to voicemail because he was in a meeting. I texted him. Still no answer. I waited a half hour, then tried again, and still couldn't get through. My labor was getting further along, so I called a friend to get a ride to the hospital. By the time my husband checked his phone at the end of the workday, I had already given birth to our daughter. Everything was very straightforward, with no complications, and we were ready to leave by the next morning. My husband is upset with me though, saying I should have come by his work to tell him it was time. But he has always been distant about work. I know what department he works in, but not where his office is in the building. It would have been awkward. My husband has told me what I did was unforgivable. He hasn't called me an a-hole, but he said I am a horrible person for denying him the joy of seeing our daughter born. Am I the a-hole for not trying harder to contact him? Info because a lot are asking. I did text specifically that I was in labor. I left a voicemail to the same. I panicked a bit and didn't call his office because he likes to keep work and home separate. Which means I don't know a lot about his work, and I was worried I would overshare to his co-workers by calling, and him not checking his phone. That is a part of his work-home split too. He doesn't deal with anything work-related at home, but also just put his personal phone out of his mind at work. It is rare for me to get a response from him at all while he is at work on a normal day. Now for the top comments. He expected you, a person in labor, to come to his work to find him and he had his phone off, instead of silence or whatever, when he very much knew that you were days from your due date? Not an a-hole. Your husband is just clueless. He needs to have been better in general about paying attention. When your wife is getting within 3 freaking weeks of her due date, it is up to you to keep your phone on you at all times. This wasn't a surprise baby. He knew it was coming. And once you are within a week of the due date, it can really come at any time. The person carrying the baby already had enough to keep track of and do. The partner only really has to check their damn text messages. I can't imagine what his coworkers would have thought if his wife showed up in labor and was all, "My husband won't check his phone. I'm expected to go get him," and then proceeded to have a baby in the front lobby because she didn't take her butt to the hospital. I promise you, people would tell that story for years, and everyone at work would consider him an a-hole of the highest order. Was coming here to say this. I'm sorry, but he was an idiot about this. My husband works in a large factory. I don't have a work number for him, just to sell. So before I had my last 2 kids, we had a plan in place in case he didn't answer. I had numbers of 4 different co-workers of his that could track him down if necessary. The fact that neither of you thought about this possibility is mind-boggling. But ultimately, it was his responsibility to say, "Hey, here's how to reach me in an emergency." My husband works in mining and isn't allowed to have his phone on him during his shift. From 7 months, he had a special clearance to keep his phone on him, and I had his supervisor's phone number. This husband is a massive A. Not an a-hole. Your husband let you down. He wasn't there for you for the birth of your child and is making it about him. He has twisted this. Not an a-hole. Not only that the husband is being selfish for expecting her, going into labor by the way, To drive by his work and go to the hospital all while she's in immense pain and blaming OP, when it's not her fault at all, and she can't control when her baby is born. Besides, she tried calling him and he didn't answer. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for kicking my friend out after what he did? I, male 28, lost my late fiancé in 2018 in an auto accident. It was hard for me to process this sudden change in my life. It took me time to get in therapy. My sister helped me with it, even though it was already late. I was advised to get into a group therapy, and I did. 6 months ago, I met a guy, Jason, who also lost his partner. We started talking outside of therapy. We'd meet at different places, and he started introducing me to a few of his friends who went through the same as me and him. And I was told I'm welcome in the group. The guys do a lot of activities together. I started taking part in their activities, attend events, and do bonding activities. We'd gather every Thursday night, play video game or talk. Jason is the one who comes up with plans and activities for the guys. I noticed all 4 guys have gotten the same tattoo. When I brought it up, they said the tattoo represents the group. I decided to wait after Jason suggested I get one as well. They've mentioned that none of them wanted to meet people and start over. The issue started when Jason saw me talking online with my new girlfriend. He asked about it and seemed upset, but I told him this was just a friend because I didn't want to tell him much, so he dropped it. On Valentine's, the guys made plans to spend a night in and play games. I told them I wanted to go to my parents' house, and they said okay. I came back to my place at 8 p.m. I was surprised to see Jason there. He had a spare key, but I expected him to be with the guys. Jason looked upset. He said he was there to pick up his laptop and saw the gift my new girlfriend sent me in the morning. He asked why I didn't mention I have a girlfriend who's sending me gifts. He said I lied to the entire group and disrespected them. I was stunned when he said he threw the gift in the trash can because what I was doing was disrespectful of my late fiancé's memory. I lost my cool on him. I yelled at him, told him he had no right to try to dictate my life and get involved like that. We argued for a few minutes, and he said he hoped I'll be able to sleep at night for doing this to my late fiancé, then left. He had the guys calling and texting hurtful things, calling me a liar and a manipulator. Went on about the commitment to not disrespect our partner's memories, and that I needed to make things right, or they won't be welcoming me into the group again. Thing is, Jason supported me a lot. I remember when he was the only one who had time to hear about my issues even outside of therapy. He went through a lot and lost his wife and brother the same year. From what I understand, he's a sympathetic person, and so I trusted him and the guys as well. But I find what he did unacceptable, and the way he keeps stomping over boundaries got me stressed out. Not the a-hole. Are you sure you didn't accidentally join a cult? Glad I'm not the only one whose cult alarm bell started ringing. The tattoos in particular. Very unhealthy behavior when they control what others in the group do. Everyone has a right to grieve as long as they do, but it's wrong to force that on others. OP, not the a-hole. What the crap? You need to cut contact immediately. Get a restraining order and change your locks. Not the a-hole. Who went to your place when he knew you weren't going to be there and snooped through your stuff and destroyed your property. And he also actively wants to prevent you from healing from the loss of your partner and finding happiness again. Maybe you shouldn't have lied, but I'm guessing you did so because you had an inkling of how he'd take your dating. That guy needs more therapy. Sorry about your old friend group. I bet now you can find a healthier one. It sounds like he's trying to create dependency and establish control. Not the a-hole. Are you sure Jason and his friends aren't a weird cult? This whole thing sounds amazingly unhealthy at this point. It may have been helpful when the wound of your fiancé's passing was fresh. Right now, he's invading your privacy, impeding your recovery, and destroying your property. You are not the a-hole for kicking him out, and I'd also be rekeying these locks. Even if he gives the key back, you never know if he made a copy. No, I know them well. They treat me well, but Jason is the only issue. He knows that I feel uncomfortable sharing everything with them, but he keeps pushing me. The key was returned. I'm not sure whether he has a copy. I haven't talked to the guys face to face yet. Maybe this was a misunderstanding because I don't see why he reacted like this other than overstepping boundaries. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe.